We want to look now at solving a variety of problems involving percentage. And we know percent calculations always involve three elements: the part, the total or base amount, and the percentage itself. And the formula that ties all these together, of course, is the fact that part divided by total gives us our percentage as a decimal. And we can then take that decimal, multiply by 100 to get our percent. And since part divided by total is our percent as a decimal, that then means that the percentage as a decimal times the total must also equal the part, because we're just translating this division statement back into a multiplication statement. So we will use these two general approaches for solving many and most percentage problems. For those of you that like to set up your problems as a proportion, then you can certainly do that this way. Part divided by total will equal your percent over 100. So since percentage problems involve three concepts, part, total, and percent, that therefore means there are going to be three types of basic percent problems. The first type would be finding the percent itself, which we can easily do by taking our part divided by our total and coming up with our percent as a decimal, and then converting that to a percent. So in this situation we have 14, which is our part, of 16. The of 16 implies that it's the total. And if we convert that over to a decimal, which is 0.875, we can then turn that into a percent by multiplying by 100. So we've done that kind of calculation many times. A simple example of this might be if you had a test that was out of a total of 16 marks and you earned 14 points, you would have scored 87.5% on that test. If we want to find the part, then we will have to be given the percentage and the total. An example of that is this. You want 48% of 80. The of 80, out of 80, implies that the 80 is the total. This is your percentage, so we'll turn that into a decimal. And then we'll use our base formula, percentage as a decimal, multiplied by total, to get part. So 48%, 0.48, multiplied by 80. If you calculate that out, you will get 38.4. If you prefer to use the proportion approach, then you would take 48 out of 100 and part divided by total, your total being 80. You would put your x on top. You would cross multiply, as we have done previously with proportions, divide by 100, and come up with your answer. So an example of this kind of question would be if your test was out of 80 and you scored 48%, sadly, that means that you would have earned 38.4 points of the 80 to get that 48%. The third kind of question is when you want to find the total. And a question like that would look something like this. 78%, there's the decimal for 78%, of, which means multiply, of what number means this is our total that we do not know, is equals 43.68. So again, we're using our formula, percentage multiplied by total, to get part. So that would mean that 0.78 multiplied by the unknown, let's call that x, equals 43.68. 0.78 times something is 43.68, so we can get x by dividing 43.68 by 0.78, and if you do that in your calculator, you're going to get 56. For those of you that like to use the proportion approach, the percentage 78 out of 100 would have to equal the part divided by the total. The of what number is the total that's not known, so that's where our x would go, and therefore our 43.68 would go on top. You would do your cross multiplication and come up with your 56. An example of this question would be if you had 78% on a test and you earned 43.68 points, the test would have been out of 56 for you to get the 78%.